rivalry game. They're a fun team to watch. Yeah, yeah, 7. That was when they opened the stadium. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the thing they're doing too, though, is they're investing in like young South America. Like what we should do is invest in young South American players, get them here, and then yeah, they'll go play in Europe. But if you have them here for 2 or 3 years, you're paying less money, quality players, versus bringing over elephant graveyard for old dudes coming from England. Like that doesn't help. I mean, those dudes provide a good product, and yeah, Martinez may only be here for 2 or 3 years, but that's worth it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I mean, the best we're gonna do right now is being a really. If we could get to being like a feeder league, if we get to be like Holland, Belgium for Europe, for the top 4 leagues in Europe, and that's a good spot. Like we got to get there, and then maybe in 20 or 30 years you become better than that. But you got to get there first. You're getting your check. Your check is coming, and there's no two ways about it. Your check will be there every 2 weeks, locked in. Yep. That's the real deal, man. I know. 28 is still too much, but that's where they're going. But I don't like that. Yeah, exactly. It'd be great. Yeah. Yeah, it could compete for sure. It's just going to take more time, and you got to do it right. But I wish they would have less playoff teams too. Like you can't. They've what 20 teams right now, and 12 make the playoffs. Is kind of crazy. 60% of the league. Um, yeah, if you're not going to have promotion relegation, at least make the regular season really matter. Yeah. That's what they're doing, but the problem is they do it in each conference. So if you do it one overall, I would totally on board with that. Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And geographic, I mean, it is a long way to travel for some of these games, but that also should be a worry of the times past. Like they make enough money now that it shouldn't be, it's not a big deal. It's 180 million this year, going to be after 150 million this round, and then it'll be up to 180 or 200 probably for the next round. Yeah, but that's also why we'll never have pro rel because of that. I, I'd like to think maybe it'll change like 30 years, but there's just too much. Yeah, it's too much cash. Yeah, yeah. Welcome to a beautiful Saturday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as the Riverhounds get set to host the Rochester Rhinos. We are at Highmark Stadium on the banks of the Monongahela River for a huge showdown here as it relates to the playoff picture in the USL alongside George DeMatteis. I am Dallin Cuff, and this game really is going to have a lot of implications to who's going to be playing here down the stretch in the playoffs. The Rhinos right now are set up in a good spot in third place as we pop up the playoff picture. Now, Pittsburgh, a little different, George. They're in 10th, but if they win, they're going to catapult themselves up into 7th place. This is a critical game for both these teams.
Yeah, especially when you consider Pittsburgh is at home, and you always want to pick up maximum points, which is a victory at home. So it's huge for Pittsburgh. They have to win this game, not only to get into the top 8, but establish themselves as a strong home team and obviously not disappoint their fans.
Both teams playing in good form right now, 3-1-1 over the last 5. Wall, he's coming back from yellow card accumulation, suspension last game. The leading scorer, the German, is tough.
Yeah, he's very tough. Big body in the penalty area that could finish, and also, as you can see, well, very good at taking penalty kicks as well. He's going to have to be very active in this defense, or I should say in the attack for Rochester, in order to pick up 3 points. He scores the goals, they win. Very simple.
And this guy scores the goals. Corey Herzog, 11 goals on the year for the Riverhounds. He's 4th all-time in the history of this team. In just 2 years, 24 goals total. He is deadly as soon as he gets the ball around the 18.
Yeah, they're going to have to do a better job of giving him service, though, because in the last game against Louisville, he only had 2 touches in the penalty area. Guess how many goals they scored in that game? 0. So, very simple. You get Herzog touches in the area, he scores.
3-0 was that loss to Louisville. Snapped a 5-game unbeaten run for the Riverhounds. Take a look at this lineup. Wall Fall, we already noted, but Cristiano Francois, he's getting back into form. Another guy scored last week in their 1-1 draw against Ottawa. What do you like about Francois' game?
Well, first of all, he has a pretty cool first name. If you're talking about goal scorers, Cristiano, that certainly helps. But he's a fast player, and he should link up very well with Jochen Graf at the top of the Rhinos' attack.
He's still getting back to full fitness. He had eye surgery earlier this year. Now we look at this group for the Riverhounds. Standard 4-4-2 they're in right now, but Matt Perella, the goalkeeper situation has been up and down. How big is this guy going to have to come up in this game?
Oh, he's going to have to be huge, especially when you look at the Rochester formation, 3 in the back, which means they're going to have a lot more possession than Pittsburgh, which usually means generating goal-scoring chances and shots. So he's going to have to come up and make some big saves.
Only 2 changes made to this lineup. The outside backs, Jack Thompson, Shannon Gomez, get the go. 2 changes from last week's loss to Louisville. All right, folks, we'll be back here in Pittsburgh in just a few minutes. It's going to be a big game. Riverhounds against the Rhinos. Who's going to come out with the W? It's going to go a long way to who will be playing in the playoffs next month.
Can you hear me? Yeah. How many times have you done it before? You good? Yeah. Okay. You got 50 seconds. You have to stay here for a little bit. Hold for that. Yeah.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a sports medicine specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
With hundreds and hundreds of pre-owned vehicles for every budget, Number 1 Cochran is the one and only place you need to shop.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Stay low, stay low. Change of speed, explode, explode. Trust it. Very nice, very nice.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with an orthopedic specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
You could spend lots of time searching lots of used car websites. Or just visit Cochran.com to see lots and lots of vehicles.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Can you hear me? Yeah. How many times have you done it before? You good? Yeah. Okay. You got 50 seconds. You have to stay here for a little bit. Hold for that. Yeah.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a sports medicine specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
Back here in the Berg as Riverhounds get set to host the Rhinos. George DeMattelis alongside Dallin Cuff. That is Dave Brandt, your Riverhounds head coach, his 2nd year. 19 years, though, in the collegiate ranks. Messiah College out in Mechanicsburg, PA, out near Harrisburg. Had 6 D3 titles, then 7 years at the Naval Academy. Almost an 80% winning percentage in 19 years. Tons of accomplishments in the collegiate game, looking to get the Riverhounds to the playoffs for the first time since 2015. And for Rochester on the other side, Bob Lilly making his 2nd stint here as the Rochester coach. He coached in 10 and 11, and then he was back starting in 14. Of course, they won the Cup title in 15, and he's trying to get them back into the playoffs as well. And they are well poised here, George, in 3rd place. But these 2 teams played 0-0 draw up in Rochester earlier this year. It was a game that could have gone either way, and Bob was telling me this Riverhounds team, he felt at that game was just going to keep getting better, and they've hit a good run of form here, the Riverhounds have.
Yeah, they sure have, and that's perfect timing when you consider how close the playoffs are. You always want, I'm sure coaches will always tell you, and fans, players alike, you always want your team playing their best football, their best sport, whatever it is, toward playoff time, and it looks like that's what Rochester is doing. And I'm very intrigued to see how they come out and play on the road here with 3 in the back, that 3-5-2 formation. I want to see how they attack this Pittsburgh defense, which showed last game against Louisville, almost at Liverpool. Louisville against Louisville.
They can't defend either.
Yeah, they can't defend either. Yeah, they have problems too. But against Louisville, Pittsburgh gave up 3 goals, and they might be vulnerable in the back. And with 3 in the back for Rochester and 5 in the midfield, they should have a lot more possession that could create goal-scoring opportunities. So I'm interested to see how this matchup is going to play out. It's very intriguing.
And the Riverhounds really, Dave Brandt was really upset with how they gave away those goals to Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville's the best team in the Eastern Conference, arguably the best team in the league, and they really gifted them opportunities. You can't do that against good teams. They paid for it. If they clean it up here today, maybe they'll have a different result.
Yeah, and that could be why Dave Brandt changed the 2 wingbacks to maybe just give them more of a defensive look, more defensive discipline along the back 4. So we'll see how that plays out. Don't expect them to push up too much with the 3 in the back of Rochester and 5 in the midfield. But we'll see what happens.
We will. We are underway here from Highmark Stadium, and off and running. The Riverhounds play it forward, and ball controlled there by Walt Fall for a second. Number 17, Tall, leading scorer. Then played throw to Johan Graf. Almost got on the end of that, but Matt Perella up off his line, and we mentioned it in the pregame. Perella just getting his 4th start of the season. They've had 2 keepers go down, Trey Mitchell and Kiesel Broom, with season-ending injuries. Perella really has to step up in a big moment here in his 4th start.
Absolutely, and for Pittsburgh to be in this situation, knocking on the door of the playoffs with their 3rd-choice goalkeeper is pretty impressive.
And there's Jack Thompson, one of the new fullbacks you were talking about being implemented in this team. Romeo Parks, so 1-2 with Herzog. Back to Herzog. Almost had an opportunity early. Just couldn't get back on it.
Oh, that's great football there by Pittsburgh between Parks and Herzog. And that's something that they can exploit. Those 3 in the back, if they push up quickly enough with enough pace, they can get into those spaces with the 3 in the back. So Pittsburgh very early on showing a bit of a weakness, showing a little bit of a hole in that Rochester back line.
And Bob Lilly did tell me he was very concerned with just the individual talent this Riverhounds players have on this team. And 2 of those guys he named were Romeo Parks and Herzog. Right there, you saw them combine and almost get an early opportunity.
Yeah, Parks is a big player, but he's also fast, very nimble on his feet with the ball at his feet. So he's a player that they will have to watch out for and focus on. And if he could connect with Herzog as he did on that sequence just a few seconds ago, look out.
Look at Fall. Speaking of look out, throws it up top. Could have an opportunity, but then in the end, Perella's able to easily corral the shot. Taken by Sofian Turgu. Played long now, and Joe Farrell, all USL 2nd team last year in his rookie year, plays it out into touch.
And early on, what we're seeing here is 2 teams very aggressively going forward, opening the game up, and that should mean a lot of goals, or at least a lot of goal-scoring chances. That's what we all want to see. We want to see an open game with a lot of attacking.
And these are 2 teams that are, Pittsburgh, as Dave Brandt says, a lot of people think we're a defensive team. Now, they have not put up tremendous defensive numbers. They've allowed 33 goals, which is 17th in the league. Conversely, Rochester, they've allowed the 2nd fewest goals in the league at 23. They are a very sound defensive unit.
Well, most of it is because they're a team that likes to have a lot of possession. And it's very simple. If you have most of the possession, the opposite team usually has less shots, which means less goals. So if Rochester can hold on to the majority of the possession in this game, it'll be difficult for Pittsburgh to score on them.
Jamal Jack tries to ping it forward, but it's intercepted here, and now got to be an opportunity. That's Cristiano Francois we talked about in the pregame, laying it off to Ryan James, now played back to Sergio Campbell.
And this is how Rochester want to play here. Multiple passes, string together 6-7 passes, hold on to the ball as long as possible, and then if they can, exploit those spaces out wide.
Fall floated it out to James, who played it back to Farrell. Back to James in the right wing, to Francois. Those 2 connected for a goal last week against Ottawa. James the assist, Francois with the goal. Opportunity now for Canardo Forbes. Thought about a cross, but then tried to play a little slide rule pass to James, too much on it.
Yeah, it looked like James maybe thought he was offsides, and that's why he didn't burst forward there and try to get on the pass of Forbes. But still, Rochester looking very dangerous and looking like they can string together passes deep in their attacking third, and that's a positive sign for the Rhinos here in Highmark Stadium.
Both these teams coming in here 3-1-1 in their last 5 games, but Rochester's run against the Riverhounds has been great. They're unbeaten in their last 7. Riverhounds last beat the Rhinos in 2014. See if they can break that streak. It would be big. As we mentioned, Pittsburgh in 10th place in the Eastern Conference. A win today would get them up to 7th and above that red line into the playoffs. Shannon Gomez, the NYC FC loanee to the Riverhounds of the MLS ranks with the throw in. Sergio Campbell goes up in the air. He played here at Highmark quite a bit last year. 26 games played for the Riverhounds last year, but now he's wearing the green jersey. Francois dancing in the middle, sprays it out wide to Turgu. Turgu looking for Camden. Camden back to Turgu. Forbes able to almost settle, and there's Wall Fall again. You can see him anywhere, 17 in green, long, lean, born in Frankfurt, Germany, the cousin of Jermaine Jones, U.S. international. And Fall was on yellow card accumulation suspension last game. He takes that after Jermaine.
Yeah. Yep.
Love Jermaine, but he's known to take out a guy or two. And,
oh, yeah.
And really, he earns his cards when he gets them.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Some people say maybe Jermaine Jones, the U.S. national team, could have used him in the last couple of qualifiers, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, we need an hour and a half to talk about that. We need 90 minutes just to go about the U.S. national team.
Exactly, exactly. But Wallfall comes from good footballing stock, as they say.
Absolutely. He's got great feet and great athletic ability as well. Bernardo Forbes switches the play, looking out wide for James, and James just doesn't get onto it. Perella's out to corral.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, what they're trying to do, at least defensively, is make sure they get everybody back. They get all 10 outfield players in their defensive half and try to limit the spaces that Rochester has to attack.
You mentioned that Francois running into space. Parks tracks back. Farrell swings it out to Felix.
Yeah, smart by Rochester. Played out. You can see that they're trying to create those triangles that are so popular in modern football now. Try to get 3 players in a specific area. Try to get movement off the ball, run into space, and then quickly exploit that space with the passes. So they're trying to create those triangles. Pittsburgh right now just doing a good job of getting everybody back.
Felix looking long for Groff. Groff gets his first touch on it. Wasn't able to settle, but it's out of bounds off of Adewale. Toby Adewale. Started 12 straight matches since joining this Riverhounds team. Now his 13th straight start.
Is developing a pretty good partnership in the middle of the defense, the center back combo of Adewale and Jamal Jack. And all the best defenses have a good, cohesive center back pairing. Pittsburgh trying to build that with Jack and Adewale.
Francois finding a little bit of space, but Parks again, big physical player, roughs him off the ball, and now he strides forward. A lot of contact, and there will be a call by Greg Dopka, the first time he blows his whistle in terms of a foul in the red, patrolling things in the middle.
Yeah, Parks winning that ball, and then 4 players surrounding him. Look how many players converge on Romeo Parks. 4 players converging on him to prevent him from going forward. They know how important he is and what he can do in Pittsburgh's attack.
Stefano Kai plays it out wide to Thompson. Thompson working on Cristiano Francois, able to skip by him. Herzog comes back, checks back and pings it across to Victor Soto. The Brazilian trying to dance through the middle, picks up a foul.
And well done by Soto, holding on possession.
Ball played in early, quick restart. Herzog isn't able to get there. Farrell able to put his head on it, out for the first corner of the match.
Yeah, this is important for Pittsburgh to get Herzog. We've seen him get a couple of touches already in and around the penalty area. The more he gets involved, the better Pittsburgh is in attack. And for him to be on the end of that play that leads to a corner kick is a positive sign for Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh with a quick restart. We saw Ottawa do that a lot to Rochester in their last draw. Maybe it's something they saw on the scouting report. They could affect them if they quickly restarted. And they got a corner out of it this time. Kevin Kerr on him. Tied for league with 57 chances created. Pings it in. Herzog gets his head to it just wide. Could have been his 12th goal of the year and put them up early.
Well, I'm sure Bob Lilly is not happy with the marking on that corner kick. There's no way that Corey Herzog should be able to get on the end of that corner kick if you are a Rochester defender. He's the first person you have to mark and account for in the penalty area when there is a corner kick. And the fact that he got to the end of that ball, it's a positive thing for Pittsburgh, But if you're Rochester defense and Bob Lilly, you have to be upset that he was able to get onto the end of that.
Herzog deadly this year, 11 goals scored, 24 throughout his 2 years now in Pittsburgh. If he scores again, he'll be third all time with 25 goals. As Farrell strolls into the attacking half, nobody presents an option, but there's no defender there for a while. He plays it back now to Campbell.
Yeah, it's almost a bend, don't break type defense. You don't see a hard marking or intense pressing by Pittsburgh in the midfield. They basically want to make sure that no one gets behind the defense, kind of keep everybody in front of them. Kind of a basketball defense. Don't let them get past you. That's the main focus of the defense, the main attitude of the defense.
A ball you man. Oops, you're speaking my language now. Farrell corrals it. And they'll start again from the back.
Yeah, Rochester, they want the possession, and then Pittsburgh want to break out on counterattacks.
Nice touch by Turgu out to Camden, but there's Parks again, tracking back and shows athleticism. Just made up that ground and controlled the ball from Camden quite easily. Poor clearance. Turgu's on it, lays it off to Wall-Fall, takes a bit of a heavy touch, and eventually muscled off the ball. Siobhan Walsh, first time he's been in the action.
In the game against Louisville, we mentioned in the pregame that Herzog only had 2 touches in the penalty area. Walsh had 0 in the penalty area. You're not going to be able to get it done. Your 2 strikers need to get more touches than that, so Walsh has to get involved as well. It's looking like maybe he's playing a little bit deeper in behind Herzog. Well, no, actually he's leveling up with Herzog, trying to create another alley for a counter.
Francois can't keep it in. And to your point, against Louisville, Riverhounds tied a season low, 6 shots on goal. So they were not, 6 shots, excuse me, period. They were not effective and even generating many opportunities. And as we already mentioned, they gave Louisville, arguably the best team in the league, really good chances, and they capitalized. Yeah,
and that match was here at Highmark Stadium as well. So a way you can determine if you're a playoff team or how your team is in terms of where they rank up or against the better teams in the league is how they perform at home, and they didn't do a good job there, so they want to improve for sure.
Ball played long. Off the line comes Dan Lynn. Lynn gets his head to it, but poor clearance. Kerr wasn't able to really bring it down there, but Lynn, also an interesting story, getting his 7th start of the year. Tomas Gomez, who's tied for 2nd in the league with 9 shutouts, has not seen much time recently. Dan Lynn's getting many more reps here as of late. Gomez was had the golden gloves last year, the best goals against average of any keeper.
And coach's instincts. Dave Brand must have seen something in terms of, or excuse me, Bob Lilly has seen some things in the Rochester defense. Thinks that Lind is maybe a better shot stopper. I don't know. Maybe he's better distributing from the back, playing with the ball at his feet. Whatever the case, it's an intriguing, very interesting decision for Bobby Lilly in terms of his goalkeepers.
He's got 2 good options, that's for sure. Now Cristiano Francois is able to turn and, again, look into space and run at defenders. It is 1-on-5, and he tried to play through Groff, but that really had no chance of connecting.
Yeah, you could see Francois, he was making this gesture with his right arm to cut inside, kind of sharpen his movement into space, into the penalty area. But I think Groff was worried about being offsides, and so that's why he didn't make that run forward. That's why he hesitated. And unfortunately for Rochester, didn't lead to a shot on target.
Fall tries to keep control of it. It's bringing out to Turgu, but he could not keep it in play. Turgu getting the start. He came off the bench last game. He's had success against the Riverhounds in the past. Last year, 3-0 win. He scored 2 goals. There's only 2 goals of the 2016 campaign, both against the Riverhounds in that one game. So he gets the nod here.
And we talked about the 3 changes that Rochester made. He was one of them from the Ottawa game, and his history against Pittsburgh suggests that he can perform very well. So Bob Lilly making a very smart move there, putting in that number 10.
Looking long for Siobhan Walsh, but Felix is going to get to it first. Knocks it long. Groff able to bring it down off the chest, but not with great control, so Parks takes over. Parks turning on Forbes. Nice work by him, sprayed out wide. Thompson on the overlap, now finding Parks. Parks looks to see if it's a cross, takes it first time off Farrell's head, corner number 2.
You know, Romeo Parks has been excellent so far in these first 14 minutes of the match.
Taking quick again, but this to less effect. Solto on it.
I'm surprised he went quick with that corner when Herzog got a head onto frame. and the last time they had the corner. So got to give your best goal scorer a chance, on, especially on set piece situations.
Groff able to lay it off the wall, but he played it quickly. He wanted a handball, no call by Dopka in the middle. A lot of contact out wide, and that's going to be a foul that time.
Yeah, you can see Pittsburgh, they want to play fast. They want to play with their pace in the space. I wasn't trying to rhyme on purpose there.
That sounded great. Keep going.
Okay, cool. But they want to play fast. They want to play with pace, get into space, and exploit any little holes that the Rochester defense will give them. That's probably why they played that corner quickly as well. And right now, it's no benefits from it yet, but that's something that with Rochester, it's going to take time to break down.
Francois looking long for Turgu to make the run, puts a little too much on it, and Gomez is able to get there first and shepherd out of play. Gomez just 20 years old, Trinidad and Tobago native. Again, New York City FC, Loney, trying to break into that TNT squad. He played in the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship. Maybe in a couple years might be seeing him in the Hex as Camden Fayu and Gomez collide, and that'll be a foul again.
And Trinidad, for all intents and purposes, are out of the running for Russia 2018.
But they can ruin our chances.
Oh, they sure can, yes.
Final game of the Hex will be played in Port of Spain with maybe everything to play for the U.S., probably.
Yeah, you never know. They call up Shannon Gomez on the team, give him a little bit of experience.
True, maybe.
Could be a great move for him, for the Soca Warriors.
There you go.
Yeah.
Late foul called there on the clearance. Johan Groff there on your screen, second on the team behind Wall Fallen, scoring 6 goals put in by Groff, the Texas native. Spent his last 3 years playing in Sweden, but he's back now stateside, and Bob Lilly happy to have him.
He's a big player, can hold up the ball, play with his back toward goal, and feed Wall Fallen, Francois, and Turgu and the like. So
Perella comes out, opted to punch, not catch it. Ball's a little loose, but eventually corralled by Rochester.
Now, that's something I've seen recently. I guess it's some kind of modern technique. Goalkeepers are punching more than they're actually catching the ball. And what it does is it doesn't give their team a chance to regain the possession. And I don't understand that. Maybe it's a safer play, obviously, but you got those big mitts. You have your body, the technique, the
Haul
training.
that thing in.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why goalkeepers, especially in that particular situation, don't catch the ball, hold up, and give their team a chance to regain possession and build the attack.
Turgu draws the foul on Salto.
Soto is going to have to do his job defensively. We've seen him do very well with the ball at his feet, kind of hold the possession for Pittsburgh, but also he's going to have to track back, be kind of a real number 5 there for the Riverhounds.
He is one of the 4 Riverhounds that are in danger of yellow card suspension. If they pick one up in this match, they'll be out for their next game at Bethlehem. Only 4 games left after this one. Critical games for the Riverhounds, who currently sit 10th in the Eastern Conference standings. Top 8 go to the playoffs. If they win this game, they would spring up into 7th. So this is a big one. But again, Soto and others are playing with in mind, pick up a yellow, you're going to be sitting on the pine next game.
And what we're seeing here is Soto. We talked about what his importance to the team, and you mentioned the yellow cards. What he's also doing defensively right now, I just noticed that when Shannon Gomez is pushing up down that right side, he's dropping back to fill in that gap at the right back position. And that's important because we mentioned Louisville scored 3 goals on him. A lot of that had to do with the spaces that they gave up when the fullbacks were pushing up. So someone has to take that responsibility of dropping back into those spaces. And down that right side, it looks like Gomez, when he pushes up, Koto is filling in that role. And that's important to maintain that backline integrity for Pittsburgh.
Walsh tries the flick on. Fans, stay up to date with the latest USL news information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Watts. Mondays, 7 o'clock on SiriusXM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, SiriusXM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check USLsoccer.com for dates and times. Jack played it out with a lot of pace, and Thompson really couldn't handle it, forcing a turnover. All right, George D., we're 19 minutes in. Your thoughts, my man, here? What needs to change? Who's had the better of the run of play so far? It's been kind of a tactical, cagey affair, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Very tactical, very cagey, that's for sure. Well, I think if you're Rochester, they have to do a better job of the long balls and these passes that are, I guess, more than 30, 40 meters. They got to shorten the passes up. They're getting a lot of the possession, so they want to push more men forward. So keep the shorter passes going, hold the possession a little bit longer. Pittsburgh, I think, Stephen Okai, we haven't heard from him too much in this game. I know he's being more of a defensive midfielder, but he's got to be someone that when they try to break out on the counters, because that's what it looks like they're doing, trying to break on the counters using their pace, Okai has to be that one that makes the quick pass, gets the possession, and then quickly sends it out to Parks or Kerr in the attack going forward. So, and Kevin Kerr, we haven't heard much from him either, so he's got to get a little more involved. He's got to get more touches when they try to break out on counterattacks as well.
Camden gets toward the box, plays it in over the top. Francois able to come down. Fall's going to get a shot off, deflected. Herzog able to pick up possession. Heavy touch by Walsh, almost turned it over. In the end, he's just going to clear it.
Yeah, Walsh is struggling right now. Walsh is a big body, likes to get into the area. Obviously, as a striker, finishes chances, but he hasn't been able to. He's been dropping back, doing a defensive role, and it's been rough for him.
And I was actually going to mention Okai, who you were talking about, is 7 in yellow, and Okai is the one that pulled up here. Never want to speculate on injury. We'll see if we could catch anything on replay or if he's cramping up. But either way, as you mentioned, he's a key cog in this team.
Yeah.
And Dave Brandt does not make a lot of changes. They've gone with this
Right.
4-4-2 with a lot of the same guys, particularly in that spine. Soto, Okai, Jack, Adewale, those 4 have been playing consistently and starting consistently since they've gone on this nice run of form here the last 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah, they need that cohesion, especially in the midfield. You really need that cohesion to have that understanding of when to drop back defensively, who's going to push up in the attack, who's going to provide that defensive cover. You have that cohesion, you have that communication, it becomes telepathic. Oh, he was the one that got hit by the shot there by Wall-Fall, but you have that understanding and it helps a whole lot, makes your team much better. And Okai basically just got hit by the shot there. And, yeah, that hurts because Wall-Fall, he put a lot of boot into that shot. But he's going to have to, he has to find a way to get some touches and be kind of the outlet for the defense when they want to break quickly on the counterattacks. Him and Kerr have to get more involved in the attack for Pittsburgh, or at least in the possession of the ball for Pittsburgh.
Definitely right. Kerr, again, leads their team in assists with 5, tied for the league lead in USL with 57 chances created. Yeah. They need him on the ball, and as Bob Lilly's told me yesterday, when he's on the ball, I'm concerned. So right now he feels pretty good that Kerr has really not seen much of the ball and been able to really influence this game. Neither has Walsh, as you just mentioned, too.
I wonder if Kerr might have to actually come more in the middle. He's out wide on the right. That's where he started. That's where he spent most of his time in this game. I wonder if he's going to have to maybe pinch in the middle, play more of a true kind of number 10 role instead of a winger, and that might be able to help Pittsburgh's attack be a little more fluid and a little more dangerous.
Jack Thompson tried to get ahead in the overlap, but Okai's ball out to him and just had too much heat on it. Ryan James looking for somebody to get open. Finds Johan Graf. James has played in every game so far. Canardo Forbes, another stalwart in the middle, turns it over there, but he's one of only 2 players remaining on this roster that won that 15 USL Cup title, the other being Mike Garzi. Garzi starting this game on the bench. But Forbes is the captain running things in the middle. Lind looking for Forbes, but comes to Solto.
It looks like almost like Graf is up top by himself, just trying to pick out that right run. See Francois dropping deep, looking to connect with Graf with some long passes, keeping it on the ground. But Forbes has to become more involved as well in holding the possession and being a link-up player also.
Gomez looking for a teammate, finds Herzog. Herzog gets a touch on it, but couldn't really control the ball. Wall-Fall is going to boot it deep. Beautiful day here in Pittsburgh with the Gateway Clipper fleet in the background there going down the Monongahela River. Folks getting a good night in.
This is a great stadium, very scenic stadium with the river in the back. It's beautiful.
Beautiful stadium, beautiful town. For those of us lucky enough to be born there and raised there. It's quite nice.
Oh, okay. It's on my bucket list to go to a Steelers game.
Play the Vikings tomorrow. It's a big one.
Okay. I have Le'Veon Bell on my fantasy team.
I don't want to talk about that guy right now. Anyway, that's Pittsburgh right now. Might know what I'm talking about. We're going to let that all go.
Okay, cool.
Back to the game here in front of us. More importantly, we got a playoff battle here in the USL. Riverhounds need a W here in 10th in the Eastern Conference. Camden strolling across the halfway line, looking back for Forbes.
And you can see, you see Soto, they're not pressing. Just make sure they don't get anything behind them. And because of the numbers back, it's hard for any Rochester player to run into space and not be marked and obviously get the ball. So Pittsburgh right now, their discipline defensively is very good.
Lind played that out in touch after a couple touches. Back to Pittsburgh again. Lind also played his college ball at Pitt, but also is a local Rochester product. Penfield High School. Got ties to both teams, but playing for Rochester as his ball's played deep, and out comes Lind again.
You can see they want, play it out the back. That's what Rochester want to do. Most teams that have three in the back, they want to play it out of the back, build that attack through the midfield, and obviously try to connect with their strikers or into space.
Fall looking long for James. James able to come down, gets to the byline, too much on it, couldn't play it back. He had Francois and Groff making runs into the box.
Yep, and James is very confident. He looks like, or at least in his mind, he believes that he has a speed advantage, a pace advantage over Jack Thompson. Just that touch was a little too heavy there. But we've seen most of the danger from Rochester coming down the right side with James and Cristiano Francois. So it could be a purposeful tactical decision to exploit the right side, maybe exploit Jack Thompson. We'll see what happens as this match progresses in terms of that. But James has had a lot of influence in this game.
James over to Forbes, who springs it out to Camden. Camden early ball, too much, skies it over Perella's head.
Yeah, that was a good touch though by Forbes in the midfield. One touch smooth to Camden, who was running into space. I think he should have just dribbled a little bit more, wait for some help from his teammates, and then go toward goal. But you got to like the confidence of Camden, and he did have time and space to go for that shot.
Perella floats it to midfield. Waldfall goes up for it. Just a reminder, soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com. Turgu in a good amount of space. To play it up, can Francois get there? And he just can't. Thompson gives a little extra push just to make sure he's not.
Yeah.
And it rolls out.
Good job there by Thompson. You want your defenders to get a little physical. You know, nothing wrong with that. So
physical, two-arm pushes, you know, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Works out.
As long as he didn't do it in the penalty area and get caught, that's the key.
That's the issue.
Yeah. So Jack Thompson, good job there, and for the defense of Pittsburgh.
Perella again plays it deep. Fall gets his head to it, but second ball pulled down by Okai. Gomez floats it up looking for Siobhan Walsh. Checks up a bit. Walsh is able to get down on it. Plays it back in the middle. Farrell though, but then one-time shot. Parks takes it blocked. Ball falls for Walsh. Walsh is offside. The flag goes up, and now referee called it off. So Waldfall trying to control, and after that first action really in front of Dan Lind, comes away unscathed.
This is a fortunate break for Rochester, mainly because Ryan Felix, he's got to attack that ball in the penalty area. He's the defender. He can't wait for Walsh to make a move. He kind of just waited for the ball to fall down and then attack the ball.
Herzog with a great touch to pull down the ball there.
Yeah,
Actually played out.
Yeah, Ryan Felix, that ball comes in the area. You have to attack the ball as a defender, clear it away, do something. You can't wait for the ball to bounce your way. And Walsh took advantage of it. So lucky break there for Rochester's defense. Ryan Felix has to be more aggressive.
Okai switches the play, looking for Gomez. Touched out by Turgu. As we cross here into the 30th minute, alongside George D. Metellus, I'm Dallin Cuff. 0-0 here from Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've got a big-time game here. Both these teams really making their way towards the playoff. Rochester in third right now, perfectly positioned. If they could get a win here, they almost cement themselves in. They don't punch their ticket, but they are real close. And if Pittsburgh wins, they would go from 10th to 7th and be in the playoffs if they started tonight.
And this is a matchup of two teams with different styles. You know the whole boxing adage, styles make fights? It's the same thing. You have.
So what kind of fight do we got here right now?
Well, right now it's kind of, I guess, Mayweather-Pacquiao type situation.
I was going to say Mayweather somebody.
Somebody, yeah, you know. Somebody like that. You have Pittsburgh, they're being very defensive-minded, which is a Mayweather style. And Rochester's very attack-minded, which was Pacquiao style. So that's the situation right now. And both teams are dodging punches and making sure that no major damage has been sustained. And we're going to see whose style cracks over the next 15 minutes of this first half, and then obviously into the second half.
We've now seen 2 hours total play between these two teams this year and 0 goals scored. Played to a 0-0 draw back in July, and now we are 0-0 so far through 30 minutes.
Yeah, they know each other well.
Yes.
So it might just come down to an individual mistake that leads to a goal.
Soto tried to step up on Forbes, but Forbes skipped around him. Still Forbes. Now these teams will play again in just 2 weeks' time back here at Highmark Stadium. And that one will have big playoff implications just like this one does. Every one of these games is critical. And Joe Farrell had a little issue, went down. No one was really around him at the time.
Didn't see what happened there, but
Farrell, one of the key guys here for this team. He's played 24 of their 25 games. Mentioned already, all USL second team last year. He was third on the team in goals scored from a defensive position with 5. Third on the team with 11 points. Threat in the box, but also a very good defender. There was a bad ball played by Farrell, but falls back to fall. Farrell tries to ping it long. Francois does not get there in time.
And Cristiano Francois is playing is basically as a right wing with Groff by himself up top, trying to use his pace out wide to get some attack going, get something positive going for Rochester. But you have to give credit to Pittsburgh's defense. It's been very well organized, limiting the opportunities on goal for Rochester.
Herzog tries to step past Fall and Campbell, and then he goes down, and the referee said he handled it, went to the ground. They did not call foul, so it is Rochester ball going the other way.
Yeah, Forbes giving it away in the midfield. That's a rare sight. See Canardo Forbes give the ball away in the midfield for Rochester.
Rochester has a rough stretch coming up. This is the middle of the first game of a 3-game road swing over the next 7 days. They go on the road in Louisville Slugger Stadium on Wednesday. Never easy to play there. Then they go down to Richmond. They are, as I mentioned, in third place, but Bob Lilly was very clear, not comfortable by any means. If they win this game, it's a different story, but right now, they are not locked in there. Louisville has can punch a place this weekend, or could have, I should say. They drew yesterday, but they still could, given some other results.
You figure with Louisville, it's just a matter of time. They're going to be in the playoffs, probably the #1 seed in the East. They are looking very strong.
Fall's able to skip it up to Groff, and Groff's got space. Groff's going to give it a go. Tried to open his body and curl it, but deflected in the end.
Yep, they did a good job there, Pittsburgh, getting enough numbers back to not allow Groff to also find Francois, who was making a hard run to that far post. Good opportunity for Rochester, but the space opened up, and it opened up on that left side. Gomez maybe getting caught out of position. Soto not tracking back to fill in that space. And quick turnover, Rochester took advantage of it.
Turgu to take it. Wants to swing it in to the back post. Falls on it, gets his head on off the crossbar. Now Herzog's able to come down with it and just get it out of dodge.
That was huge. Wall fall. We spoke about it in the pregame. The tall player, very good in the penalty area. He got his head onto it and he just missed it. That would have been a huge opening goal for Rochester on the road here. But Wallfall wasn't well marked either. There wasn't, you usually see those pushing and shoving.
It's like a wrestling match in there a lot of times.
Exactly. And you didn't see Wallfall at all have anyone marking him or get a body on him. And he was able to get a pretty free header on the frame. And luckily for Pittsburgh, it didn't go in.
Groff harassing Riverhound defenders. Wanted a handball on Gomez, was not called.
Groff has to not worry about what the officials are doing and actually continue to press. If he continues to press, maybe there was another teammate he had in front of the defender of the Pittsburgh player. I believe it was Adewale.
Yep.
Maybe they could have dispossessed him, and then he's going one-on-one against Perella. So Groff has to worry more about the players on the pitch than the linesman making an offsides call.
Absolutely. His press was going to have an effect if he didn't stop and start just throwing his arms around.
Absolutely, absolutely. It might have been a handball. The referee doesn't whistle it, or the linesman keep playing.
Yeah.
He was in a position where there were two players surround him and his teammate, surrounding a Pittsburgh player. As you mentioned, they press him, they dispossess, and it's there for Perella. So a one-on-one chance against Perella. So composure and poise is so important sometimes in certain situations.
Solto looking at the big switch, finds Herzog, but Herzog really can't do much with it. It's cleared out, but no call.
Yeah, Herzog, ever since that header,
90 seconds into the game.
90 seconds into the game, and then he had that pretty cool or pretty smooth 1-2 with him and Romeo Parks. Since then, he's been basically just X'd out of the game. Very little influence for Corey Herzog. He's had to do more defensive work than attacking work.
Camden on the overlap, looking for the cross, can't really get it settled, tries to play it off Kerr. And yes, it will be out for another corner. We'll see if Fall is better marked. He is the leading scorer on this team, 8 goals in the year. 6'3", long athlete.
Yes.
Was just unmarked. And they have some really tall players in there, whether it's Farrell or Fall or Campbell.
Yeah.
Definite threats in the box.
Everyone in that defense of Pittsburgh has to say, okay, where's 17? Let's find him.
Turgu goes short corner, goes to the near corner, near post. Cleared out, but then played back in by Forbes. There's Joe Farrell, gets a good purchase on it. It was dipping, but just went over the crossbar.
Oh, that's a great ball back to Farrell out wide after the corner was cleared. The short corner played out. That's Forbes, great vision. Perfect pass, chested down by Farrell, and he just couldn't keep the shot down. But you gotta like that by Forbes. Just took his time, surveyed the field, and then played it out wide to Farrell, who was one-on-one marked, and he was able to get a shot on goal. Unfortunately for Rochester, he couldn't keep the shot down, but still well done off of what was a poorly executed corner kick.
That's Farrell. We just talked about defender that can score in his second year in the league. Good touch off his chest and good strike of the ball, but just north of the crossbar.
And there's Forbes also showing his influence and how important he is in terms of distributing and creating opportunities for his teammates there.
Romeo Parks just picked up the foul. You mentioned earlier he was really into this game and having a big effect.
Yeah.
It seems he's gone a little bit quieter too. Most of the attacking play in this game.
Yeah, I think the main reason is because Rochester have had so much of the ball. And when Pittsburgh do go forward and have a little bit of possession, Rochester is doing an excellent job of just getting numbers back. And Parks hasn't been able to break free. When he did break free early on in the match, it was because he would catch.
Parks over the top, looking for Kerr, and eventually headed out for a corner.
And when he would break free, he was because they would catch Rochester losing the ball in the midfield, and he'd try to break on a counterattack. But when Rochester comes back and settles and organizes themselves defensively, he can't break anyone down and create scoring opportunities.
Kevin Kerr plays it short. Back to Kerr, and just poorly executed on the 1-2 there by Kerr and Jack Thompson. USL is one of the most prominent second division professional leagues in the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and info by visiting www.uslsoccer.com and follow them on Twitter @USL. Farrell getting forward again, looking to pop it up over to Francois, who's able to corral it off his chest. Looking to go one-on-one with Thompson. Skips in the middle, gets his left foot on it. Not sure if that was a shot or a cross, but Turgu might come down with it. High boot not called. Kerr plays it out wide. Out long, excuse me. Deflected out. Rochester will keep possession.
Oh, Francois, when he was down the right side, he had Forbes running into space, running toward the near post. Couldn't connect with him. If he had been able to, that would have been a great chance for Rochester.
Parks, good turn to get forward, but nice step in there by Campbell.
You see, when Forbes is able to do that, it's because there's a turnover in the midfield. They get the possession quickly, and there's space in the midfield for him to run. He wants to break through and get those quick counters going. But Rochester doing a good job there, just collapsing on him in time.
Nice layoff by Groff back to Camden, but Gomez just snuffs it out. And Adewale eventually gets it to Soto, and Soto's just going to take it long. Herzog able to control off his chest. Maintain a little possession for the Riverhounds here. Turned over again. Ooh, collision. Kerr wants a foul call, but Kerr did go to ground late, causing the collision. Okai trying to work 1-on-4. Still Okai.
Great work there by Okai to hold the possession with 4 players surrounding him.
Wall fall comes, just takes it off Gomez's foot. Then from the floor, able to nice control by the big fella.
And you can see the Pittsburgh game plan is to try to catch Rochester's on the counters. What's happening also is that Pittsburgh, when they are able to have a little bit of possession, they struggle to string together more than 4 or 5 passes in their attacking half, and that's made Parks a little bit ineffective. That's taken a lot of the influence of Walsh and Herzog out of the game as well. So that's where Kerr has to come in.
Looking long, and there's Kerr on cue. Nice slide in by Felix to deflect the cross. Stop the service, and he's able to get it out. Danger for a second. Soto back on it. But as you mentioned, part of the problem for the Riverhounds all year, though, has been passing. Only 73% pass completion accuracy, 3rd worst in the league. So it has been a pretty typical issue for them to string together passes and keep possession.
And what it looks like to me now, what has happened is, it looks like Gomez is pushing up a little more on the right. Kerr has moved over to the left. Actually, he's playing central now. And hopefully for Pittsburgh, that'll create opportunities. But they have to get Kerr the ball in the middle of the pitch. That's the key.
You mentioned earlier you thought that Kerr should go central. Good call. Dave Brandt saw the same thing. But as you mentioned, too, they got to get the ball to him to be effective in there.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking about the chances he creates and the assists. And if it's not working out wide, bring him in the middle, let him play that true number 10 role, and hopefully that'll work. And the passing accuracy will go up if Kerr gets more touches.
Ricardo Forbes on the ball. Pings it out to Camden. Forbes is in space, turned away from the defense, though.
Yeah, he's the brain in the midfield for Rochester. He's the one that makes the decisions. We saw him make that pass out wide to Farrell that led to that shot. So Forbes is the creator. He's the brain in the midfield. If he can make the right decisions, Rochester will get some great opportunities on goal. And he's not being hardly pressed or marked harshly in the midfield either, so he has time and space.
Siobhan Walsh upset with the call. He thought he was being fouled, but Eric Dopka goes the other way, and then tell Chevy there to chill out for a second.
Yeah, I think Chevy's just more frustrated with the lack of touches and his inability to create goal-scoring chances. Those big number 9s, they want to be in the penalty area, in and around the penalty area, scoring goals. He's doing the hard work defensively because that's what required of him. Obviously, he's a team player, but the frustration of not being able to really score goals or consistently get shots on frame has got to be frustrating for him.
He is second on the team with 5 goals. Really made his mark last year playing for Ocean City in the PDL. The Golden Boot and MVP of that league, scoring goals, and got him a chance here to play with the Riverhounds this year. Fall, kind of the outside of his boot, looking over to James. Parks down a little bit of room. Will try to swing it out to Herzog, but good step again defensively. Quick restart again. Walsh bodied up. Poor clearance, but in the end falls to Farrell's foot. There's Forbes turning away from trouble, directing traffic.
There you go, Turgu making the run. They're telling him what to do. That's the brain right there in the midfield for Rochester. But we saw Romeo Parks making that run. They're trying to get those counters. As long as you mention it, there's room, that's what they want to do. If there's space out there and they were able to win that ball in the midfield, they want to burst through and run into that space. It hasn't been consistently there for Pittsburgh, mainly because of Rochester having a lot of the possession.
Johan Graf got called for the foul, just undercutting Gomez a little bit as we cross in the 45th minute. We now have 1 minute of stoppage time in this first half.
There will be a minimum of 1 minute stoppage time at the end of the
Jamal Jack take the space and skip it out to Thompson. Thompson, really poor pass. Turned it over. Fall now looking long. Can Thompson get back into play? Francois one-on-one with him, skips around him, gets to the byline, floats it in, probably gets a mitt to it.
And Francois had to hold up a little bit because there was no one in the penalty area. Turgo getting there late, and then Graf late as well. So he had to kind of hold his run up, waiting for a little bit of support.
While Fall looking to play it into the channel to Turgu. Good first touch to bring it down. Back to Francois. Lays it off to James. Forbes. To Francois again. He'll play it in, looking for Graf. Graf gets his head on it, and it is just over the bar. As we creep over 1 minute of stoppage time, that could have been a goal to punctuate the first half, but Graf just couldn't keep it down. Great service.
And this ball just over the head of Toby Adewale. Just a little bit out of position, Adewale maybe. Whatever the case, Graf able to carve out a little bit of space and just missed the header. That's the second header that Rochester has missed in this half. Tough break for the Rhinos.
Tough break to end that half, missing a goal-scoring opportunity for the Rhinos. It's 0-0 here at Highmark Stadium. George, your thoughts on this first half?
Deserved 0-0 between these two teams in the first half, but that man right there, Kevin Kerr, he's got to get involved more for Pittsburgh in order for them to get a goal and pick up the victory.
Leads this team with 5 assists. We talked about him moving centrally. He did that. We'll see if they do that in the second half and any other adjustments they make. But after the break, we'll be back here at Highmark Stadium. George DiMattelis, Dallin Cuff here. Don't go anywhere. Be back here. 0-0, Riverhounds and the Rhinos.
Stay low, change of speed, explode, explode, trust it. Very nice, very nice.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with an orthopedic specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
You could spend lots of time searching lots of used car websites, or just visit Cochran.com to see lots and lots of vehicles.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Can you hear me? Yeah. How many times have you done it before? You good? Yeah. Okay. You got 50 seconds. Yep, just stay here for a little bit. Hold for that. Yeah?
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a sports medicine specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
With hundreds and hundreds of pre-owned vehicles for every budget, Number One Cochran is the one and only place you need to shop.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Stay low, change of speed, explode, explode, trust it. Very nice. Very nice.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with an orthopedic specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
And we're back here at Highmark Stadium, a beautiful night in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 0-0, though, between the Riverhounds and the Rhinos. Alongside George DeMatteis, I'm Dallin Cuff. And through the first 45 here, the run of play, the stats are kind of even, but do you think the Rhinos had the better opportunities created?
Oh, that's for sure. Obviously, more shots, the shots on target. They had the two headers, the one that Groff missed, and then the one that Fall hit off the post, off the crossbar. So the Rhinos been more aggressive. They've had much more possession. No surprise there, as we mentioned, with the formation that they put out. And we're just waiting to see the Riverhounds make that one burst on the counterattack to get that goal and that go-ahead goal, and then they might, after that, just play conservative, lock it down. But we'll see what happens in the second half.
As we already mentioned, these two teams played to a 0-0 draw earlier in the season in July. This is on their third half of scoreless soccer between the Rhinos and the Riverhounds. In terms of this game being a playoff, a key for the playoffs, anything you do differently if you're Dave Brandt, or you continue to just play your game for the Riverhounds?
I think Dave Brandt made the right adjustments in the first half with Kerr coming in the middle and Romeo Parks playing a little bit more out wide. I think he made the right adjustments there, and I think that might pay off in the second half.
All right, we shall see. We'll be back here at Highmark Stadium in a few minutes. Riverhounds Rhinos 0-0.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and help people was my thing.
I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels.
After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak.
Meals on Wheels, coming to my door as someone who's housebound, having someone check on me, assures me that I'm not forgotten.
Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
We're the clients.
We are the clients.
We are the clients of Meals on Wheels.
America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
We've raised the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. At work or at play, you're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Oh, hey, she's cute. Nice going, man. Things are going great for you. You've earned a night out. Good drinks, good friends, Yeah, we can go ahead and call this a good night. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Not smart. Yeah, I saw that coming. Say goodbye to her. Ouch, that'll hurt your bank account. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. I hope you like eating frozen dinners. Alone. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
And back here in Pittsburgh, folks enjoying the Gateway. Clipper Fleet, Riverhounds, and the Rhinos 0-0. We'll be back here with the second half in just a few minutes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. How many times have you done it before? You good? Yeah. Okay. You got 50 seconds. Yep, just stay here for a little bit. Hold for that. Yeah.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a sports medicine specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
With hundreds and hundreds of pre-owned vehicles for every budget, Number One Cochran is the one and only place you need to shop.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Stay low, stay low. Change of speed, explode, explode. Trust it. Very nice, very nice.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with an orthopedic specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
You could spend lots of time searching lots of used car websites. Or just visit Cochran.com to see lots and lots of vehicles.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Can you hear me? Yeah. How many times have you done it before? You good? Yeah. Okay. You got 50 seconds. Yep, just stay here for a little bit. Hold for that. Yeah.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a sports medicine specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
Back here in the Berg, a little MJ playing in the background as we get towards October here. Thriller, and of course the end of USL playoffs will be taking place. And the Riverhounds, if they can get a win here, George DiMattelis would go a long way for them playing in those playoffs in October. With that said, let's take a look at the first half highlights, because really Rochester had the better of possession and the opportunities in that first half.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it should be a thriller of a second half in
Let's
Pittsburgh.
hope so.
Let's hope so, for sure, yeah. Always good to get Michael Jackson in the stadium,
I
for
love
sure.
MJ.
Yeah, for sure. But you mentioned it, the best opportunities for a goal in this match came by way of Rochester and the Rhinos. Here's an opportunity here. It's Johan Graf with the chance, takes the deflection, and it was well done defensively, getting back for Pittsburgh as it goes off of the leg of Jamal Jack there, Francois on the far post there. This is an opportunity that they should have put away. Great header here by Wall falling just off the crossbar, and Pittsburgh has to do a better job of marking in that situation, but lucky break for the Riverhounds.
Yeah, Wall Fall leading scorer in this team unmarked, just couldn't get it to go, and then they continue to make opportunities off the corners. Joe Farrell, the defender, brings it down to the chest and just over the bar.
Yeah, just missed it, but it was a good job by Farrell as well, because he actually got back onsides in time. That was the key. Off of the corner, he was offsides, but he got back onsides in time, and Forbes, the brain of the midfield for Rochester, was able to find him, and it's unfortunate for the Rhinos that Farrell couldn't keep that shot down.
You see Kerr making the run in here, headed out by Ryan Felix, and they were able to make a little headway early on with their corners their own, but overall not many chances created by the Riverhounds.
Yeah, it's going to be a situation where Parks and Kerr, those two, they have looked the most dangerous, especially Romeo Parks in the first half. They've looked the most dangerous going forward for Pittsburgh's attack. So if they can get more touches in the second half, Pittsburgh will have a better opportunity to win this game.
And this was at the death of the halftime whistle. Johan Groff, great opportunity, unmarked header, but couldn't keep it down, couldn't put it on frame.
Yeah, I think Johan Groff has to elevate a little bit more, maybe time his jump a little bit better. If he elevates more and it keeps the header down, you see the motion gets the header going up, but if he elevates more and gets the header down, he might be able to beat Matt Perella in goal and score the go-ahead goal.
And Rochester would really need this win. They're in third place, but it would really go a long way in terms of putting them in the playoffs, making them feel comfortable. Because this is the first game of a 3-game road swing, and they're got to go play at Louisville, arguably the best team in the league. Then you're going to play at Richmond. Nothing easy about that. Lou City then comes to your place. You go on the road to Highmark again, and you finish with Bethlehem, who they are battling for a playoff spot as well. So nothing is given to them right now. They need any points they can get, make them feel like they're going to get their spot in the playoffs and then play for positioning.
Absolutely. You're talking about 3 of the next 4 on the road. In those 4 games, 12 points available. If they can get 10, they will secure themselves a spot in the playoffs. But 3 out of the next 4 on the road, that's going to be very difficult for Rochester. And if they can pick up at least 10 points in that 4-game span, they will be very confident heading into the playoffs.
All right, for the Riverhounds, different scenario. They're in 10th place right now with only 4 games remaining. Next 2 of theirs on the road as well. Bethlehem and Red Bulls too. Both those teams right around them. Those are going to be classic 6-pointers. They need every point they can get right now.
Yeah, we talked about the situation for Rochester getting 10 out of 12. They need to get 12 out of 12.
You want 100%, huh?
Absolutely. That's the best way they can advance to the playoffs. Try to get. They have Bethlehem. That's going to be tough. Little Pittsburgh, state of Pennsylvania.
Interstate rivalry.
Interstate rivalry there with Bethlehem, and then Red Bulls too. The MLS teams with the 2 on the ends have been struggling lately, but Red Bulls 2 should make it, and then Rochester again. But it's going to be difficult for Pittsburgh, but they can do it. They have the talent and the players to get into the playoffs.
And they do get to finish with 2 home games, so that will help them a little bit. As we take a look at the standings, you see where Pittsburgh is right now. They are in 10th with only 4 games remaining. A win, though, would put them above Red Bulls 2 right now into 7th place as we would finish the night, or as we finish this game, I should say. There are other games throughout the course of the night and tomorrow, of course. But that's the scenario right now.
Yeah, let's say Pittsburgh and Bethlehem remain tied. That game that they will play against each other, that interstate rivalry, will be massive. So looking for the stretch run for the USL and the Eastern Conference playoffs is going to be very exciting.
And you see Orlando City B and Bethlehem Steel also have games in hand on everybody around them, whether it's Cincy or Red Bulls 2 or the Riverhounds. Look at the top of the table, Rochester there with 6 games remaining in a good spot. Lou City, they drew earlier this weekend. Charlotte, those 2 teams feel pretty good about where they're at getting in. Bob Lilly would not concede that he feels comfortable about where his team is yet. If they win tonight, though, he would feel a lot better.
Typical coach speak, right?
Absolutely.
The coaches, they know they have a good team. Bob Lilly knows he has a good team, but he wants his team to stay hungry, to be competitive and finish strong. And so he's going to say, I'm not comfortable yet with the way the team is, but Rochester looked like a playoff team.
Well, we asked you about, we talked about Riverhounds, what changes you want to see there. We talked about that already in the break. Rochester, they've got no goals either. It's 0-0 here. Anything different you want to see from them?
Well, I think for Rochester, Forbes gets more of the ball. The last maybe 15, 20 minutes of the first half, we saw Canardo Forbes get more of the ball. If he can continue to do that in the second half, then I think that Rochester will get the goal that they need to win this game. So maybe it's not so much changes as it is getting Forbes more involved in the game. I think that might be the biggest thing. Oh, that's the best part of the song.
I got to find out who the DJ is in Highmark Stadium, folks. We got Thriller earlier. We've got Phil Collins, Feel It in the Air Tonight.
That's the best part of the song.
Oh, great stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that part.
I'm sure they'll play Styx Renegade shortly, which is a Steelers classic as well, played in the third quarter, and they need to stop. And the Riverhounds need a goal. They need to play. So maybe they'll play Styx Renegade. They'll just drop it in the middle of the half here.
Yeah, that would be pretty smooth. That would be pretty smooth to do that for sure. But I think for Pittsburgh, we're seeing basically the same kind of lineup that they put out, or the adjustment that they made toward the end of the first half. It almost looks like 3 in the back with Gomez, Adewale, and Jack, maybe Thompson pushing up. We'll see how that plays out.
A lot of contact there with Solto. False saying he got an arm high, checking his face for anything. Maybe looking at a little slight embellishment, looking for a card there.
Nothing new there.
Solto comes from Sao Paulo, Brazil, the famed Corinthians Academy, one of the best academies in the world in terms of producing great players.
Corinthians also first place in the Brasileirão.
Brasileirão.
Yeah, the Brasileirão, Campeonato Brasileiro. So they're in first place, looking like they're going to win another title.
Sure, that'll make my friends in Brazil happy.
Oh yeah, they're
a couple buddies live in Sao Paulo.
They're not Sao Paulo or Palmeiras fans, no?
They're all Corinthians fans.
Oh, okay.
As they say, Corinthians.
The Corinthians, yeah.
Eu falo português. We've gone off the rails again, folks.
Muito bom.
if Soto scores, we'll really drop some Portuguese for you. It'll be a lot of fun.
Nice.
Until then, that's Soto on the ball playing it out wide.
Yeah, with Soto now, it looks like Soto is going to drop deeper here. There's just early observations. Drop deeper here so that Kerr can be the attacking player and maybe less defensive responsibilities. Kerr out wide, started the match out wide, drifted into the middle more, and I think that's what they want to do. They want to get Kerr in the middle more, and Soto will be his backup, kind of the man that defends him, that has his back, drops him deeper behind him, defensive cover.
Sergio Campbell pinged it deep to Turgu. Now is a battle between Turgu and Parks. Soto on it, gives away in a dangerous spot, but there's Parks there to get his foot on it. But he turns it over. Gomez takes it long. And Lynn controls.
Yeah, Parks is now switched over to the right. And Kerr in the middle, and then obviously Okai and Soto in the middle as well. Almost kind of, I would say kind of a midfield triangle almost with Kerr, Okai, and Soto. Maybe Kerr floating out a little bit to the left, but I suspect that he's going to make his way back in the middle as the second half progresses.
Swing and a miss by Adewale. Excuse me, by Jack. Leaves it for Groff. Francois got a couple options. Tried to drive it into the box, but deflected by Thompson. Forbes able to settle on it for a second. Spray it out to Francois. Francois looking to get end line. Plays it across early. Goes over Perella, and Groff applauds him, though. He's looked back post. It's too much on it.
Yeah, Francois has been the most dangerous attacking player for Rochester in this match down that right side. The problem for Francois and for Rochester is that it seems that every time there's a Rochester attacker, there are about 2 Pittsburgh defenders surrounding him or in the area, making it difficult to connect. So Pittsburgh, their priority has been throughout the match has been making sure they don't give up anything defensively, making sure they're tight and well organized defensively, and it's worked so far. Obviously, they have the clean sheet. Now it's just a matter of getting that one burst in terms of the attack so that they can score a goal and get the 3 points.
It's smart to corral Francois as much as you can. It's only his 7th game playing. He had eye surgery earlier this year. He's still getting to full fitness, but just in those last 6 games, he has 3 assists. That's second on the team already. So he's hooking guys up. He scored his first goal of the campaign last week in that 1-1 draw with Ottawa. So he's starting to really come into his own as he gets into full fitness.
Yeah, and he's also playing with a lot more confidence. You could see him taking on Thompson or whoever is in front of him, taking him on one-on-one, trying to beat him, setting up the crosses. So he's playing with a lot of confidence, and that's a positive sign for Rochester.
Francois draws the foul now.
And as we mentioned, he's got the best first name in terms of footballers on the pitch. Yeah, Cristiano. So, and we know Cristiano, the CR7, has plenty of confidence. So
he does not lack that.
Yeah. So
I mean, if I were him, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can have that level of confidence, you are all right. You're doing pretty good.
Gomez boots it deep. Felix able to head it down, and Forbes is on it. Turgu, nice turn, but just good cover there by Adewale, but a really good turn by Turgu. As the train Horn goes off. Let's let you folks know. Stay up to date with the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with the man Mike Watts. Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern on Sirius XMFC, channel 85. Also, don't forget, Sirius XMFC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check uslsoccer.com for dates and times. Looking long and Kerr trying to draw the foul. Not called.
I could see Kerr is a little bit frustrated. Before the halftime, or at halftime when they whistled for halftime, he had some words with the officiating crew.
Foul there?
Yeah, it looks like a foul to me. Definitely was a foul. There's some contact there.
Kerr is really good on set pieces, so he's upset that he didn't get a chance. Gomez tries the long throw. Gomez with a low cross. Intercepted by Forbes and then cleared out, but only as far as Soto. Too much on that. Poor pass by Okai. How do you mentioned early on that Okai had to be influential in this game. How do you feel he's played to this point?
I'm sure he's not as happy about his play. He's done his work defensively, but when it comes to holding possession and linking the defense with the midfield and the attack, he hasn't done his job. So he's struggling in this match. He hasn't had the influence that I'm sure that Dave Brandt wants. And with that pass right there, that's a little bit of an indication of how he struggled when Pittsburgh has had the ball. And maybe it's a microcosm of how Pittsburgh has struggled when they've had the ball.
Soto looking long, but Lind is off his line and pulls it in.
And the way Pittsburgh have been able to, or have struggled in terms of building the ball through the midfield, building the possession or passing through the midfield, maybe they have to go long over the top.
Turgu looking to slide in Groff. Groff trying to get onto it, but out comes Perella. He spills it, but nobody else is making the run onto it. Jack has it comfortably.
And well done by Adewale, getting in between the ball and Groff to prevent a shot.
Camden continues his run. Fall tries to slide it to him, but Gomez is able there to muscle him off the ball.
Second time a pass like that, similar, no, basically almost the same exact spot. So maybe Rochester's seeing some things here.
Good ball played out there by James up to Fall. Fall spinning. Tried to lay it off to Forbes, but there's Okai. As we mentioned, his defensive work has been good.
Yep. But Fall is he's getting space, and that's dangerous. You've seen a couple of times, you've seen the pass, he tried to slide it through to Camden, didn't connect, but still he had time and space to make that pass and the vision to make that pass. So that Pittsburgh midfield with Okai, Soto, they're going to have to do a better job of getting on top of him. It's hard to deny him the ball, but when he does get the ball, get on top of him and press him as quickly as possible so that he doesn't have time to create opportunities or carve out some space or a pass for his teammates.
Campbell just seemed a little lazy on the ball, and then a heavy touch and just ran over Herzog. Ricardo Forbes pleading his case. Does he even have a case here?
No, he doesn't have a case, and he's the captain, so he has the liberty to speak to the referee. But the whistle is made, the call has been made. Just let it go and organize your team. I still don't understand it to this day. We've been watching sports since we were kids, and they always argue with the referee. It never changes anything. I still don't know why they waste their breath.
You're not working for that call. You're working for the next call.
Oh, that's
I'm not
what it
sure
is.
you're actually ever getting it, but that's what you think you're doing. Kerr now clips it in, looking back post. Francois is going to come down with it and just get it out of danger. Forbes looking for Francois down the channel, but Gomez is there to recover. Forbes, and that will come off of Parks' arm. Forbes looking to make a big switch. Didn't really get the ball where he wanted it to be. It was a low liner, but it'll be a opportunity now for another set piece the other way.
Yeah, Forbes pleading his case, but it obviously unintentional, but still a handball. And now a great chance for Rochester here. And the midfield part of the defense has been a little soft for Pittsburgh. The midfield part. The back line has been solid, but the midfield that's been soft with Wall and now Forbes getting chances and creating opportunities.
Wall's on the ball. Floats it to the back post. Looking for Turgu. Turgu able to just get a foot to it, but it goes out harmlessly for a goal kick.
Ooh, at first I thought Ryan Felix, the number 3 for Rochester, had an opportunity there, maybe that it was going for him, but it went to the far post. But look at Ryan Felix here, if we get a chance here. The ball's a little too high for Felix, but it looked like for a minute that he had enough space to elevate and try to get his head onto it, but the play was designed to go to the far post. Unfortunately for Rochester, couldn't get the shot on frame there.
Kerr can't keep it in play, turned over.
And Kerr back out wide. The thing that makes it easier to defend Kerr if you're Rochester when he plays out wide, because you obviously have the sideline to help you. And it's much more dangerous when he goes in the middle. So they're trying him out wide again. Yeah, but it's been tough. It's been tough for Pittsburgh when they are not able to get the counters going, when they have the ball, when they have a chance for possession. It's been tough for them to string together the passes, make those right connections to get Herzog and Walsh good opportunities on frame.
We talked about their struggles against Louisville, only 6 shots. That was a season low. This game's been more of the same. How much does frustration play into this? Mentally, you're now in their third half, or fourth half, excuse me, of really struggles offensively.
Oh, I'm sure they're very frustrated, but they have to keep their composure, and they have to realize they're not trailing 2-0 or 3-0 here. It's 0-0 at home, so against a team that they can beat. So while it is frustrating, at the same time, they have to keep their composure and realize that they still have a very good chance, an excellent chance of winning this game. And it just takes one mistake, one move, one right pass, and they have the lead. So it is frustrating, but at the same time, it still can be very encouraging.
Gomez on the ball, his right back spot. Over to Jack. Jack looking long for Walsh. Walsh able to flick it on, but Kerr is offside. His chip did find the back of the net.
That's tough. That's the way you finish.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was offsides. But there you go. There's something that they can build on for the next, 32 minutes or so in this second half. Is they can teeter on that back line. That back line of Rochester, we mentioned 3 in the back. That means they might play high. They might creep up a little bit because they'll have most of the possession. And with Kerr and Walsh and Herzog, 3 fast players, at least mentally they're fast in terms of connection and getting each other involved in the play. That could be something that they can take advantage of. So they can get a quick turnover in the midfield. That back line playing high, they can take those spaces.
Francois able to turn. He's going to give it a go. Lines it hard past the post, though. Made Perella lay out for it.
Well, Francois, he's been trying to set up his teammates the entire match. Finds a little bit of space, and if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. And that's what he was thinking there. And it's a good decision. He has the space. It's a good angle for someone who's going to take it with his right boot, with his right foot. Went towards goal. Didn't quite work out well, but still, you got to like the aggression and the confidence of Cristiano Francois.
Talented player. His first year here with Rochester. Last 2 years he was playing in the 2nd division in Portugal. Played over 40 games in those 2 years, scoring 4 goals. Bob Lilly has a number of new players on this team. As we mentioned, only 2 guys from the team that won the Cup title 2 years ago. But he really has molded a lot of talent, a lot of new players into a good cohesive unit. And they're starting to hit a stride later this year.
Well, and when you consider, you mentioned it, when you have new players and you find themselves in the playoff race, probably going to make the playoffs, that's a credit to Bob Lilly and his ability to teach the game, teach the system, and then obviously as a coach psychologically get everyone on the same page and believing and having that confidence.
Walsh turning, but into a little bit of trouble. Able to skip out of 1 tackle, skip out of 2. He's on a move, trying to get off his left foot. Finally does, gets a shot off and right into Lynn's breadbasket.
Oh, well done by the man they call Chevy. Siobhan Walsh finally getting the movement, the ability, the chance that he wants. Look at him getting around 3 or 4 players, carving out some space. Great technique there. and well positioned by Daniel Lind to make that save. Walsh very quiet in the first half, showing his skills here in the second half. Well done by Walsh.
Foul called on Wall. Him and Soto have had a number of interactions in the midfield.
Yeah. But the physical play between those two, you have to figure works out in favor of Soto. Maybe getting Fall out of his game. There's Fall complaining to the referee. That could be the start of kind of the psychological game that will go in favor of Pittsburgh. If the other team's best player is complaining to the referee, then it's a problem for Rochester and an encouraging sign, something positive for Pittsburgh. Sometimes you got to take a player out the game psychologically in order to neutralize them.
Fall was out physically last week too because of yellow card accumulation. So,
yep.
I mean, he's had his issues this year. You saw Eric Dopka, the official right there, said no more. Pointed to multiple fouls, talked about coming underneath players, no more. So we'll see if Fall abides and doesn't pick up a yellow.
Yeah, usually yellow card accumulation, you're getting suspended in those situations. It's because of mental errors.
Sergio Campbell, a little bit of a mental error. I'm not sure what that was when he initially tried to attack the ball, but eventually able to get his head onto it and back to Lind.
That's probably why he's not a striker. He's more of a defender.
Yeah. Farrell looking to play it up to Francois, running the channel again, but Jack beats him to it.
Yeah, Jack Thompson has had his hands full, or actually, when it's soccer, you can't touch the ball with your hands, so he's had his boots full with Francois out wide on the left side of the Pittsburgh defense, the right side of the Rochester attack. And you have to give Thompson credit. He's been able to keep Francois from becoming too dangerous and overly influential in his game. Francois has had moments, but Thompson has done well to keep him at bay so far.
Turned over in a dangerous spot. Forbes now looking to make a move forward. Soto in front of him. Forbes gets it on his right, blasts it.
Ooh.
And it just goes wide for a corner. Perella got a fingertip to it.
What a great save there by Perella. And Forbes running at the defense, twisting and turning Soto. Graf fading into the middle, dragging a couple of defenders with him, and that allowed that space on the right for Forbes to exploit. And the captain almost scoring what would have been called the golazo.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Dave Brand said he needed to see Perella make a big save. He yet to in this 3 games, allowed 6 goals. Needed a big save. That might have been it, and that is a really poor corner that could lead to a counter opportunity. Kerr looking up for Gomez, but good cover by Camden.
Yeah, Camden, well done defensively there. That's a poor corner for sure. Send it into the area. We had a situation in the first half where Wall got a header into the area off a corner. Send it in the air and let big Fall get in there and make something happen. Don't understand the logic behind that short corner there.
So we're in the 65th minute here alongside George DeMattelis. I'm Dallin Cuff. Rochester and the Riverhounds 0-0 right now from Highmark Stadium. Riverhounds in 10th place in the Eastern Conference. A win would put them above that red line into 7th in the playoff picture. The Riverhounds currently in 3rd and in good position, but cannot clinch a playoff spot today, but can move closer with 3 points for sure. George, as we look at this game coming down the stretch, any personnel decisions any changes you'd want to make here?
Ooh, that's a good question here. That's a very good question here. If you're Pittsburgh,
here's Forbes. We'll come back to that in a second. Tried to find Groff, but great step by Adewale to cut it out. And now long for Walsh. A lot of contact there. Yeah, did Walsh use a hand to control it, though?
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. Looked like a handball on Walsh. Yeah, that's what it was. But to your question, Dallin, about the changes, if you're Pittsburgh, I mean, Okai might be the first option, and you might bring in an attacking player to give them more of a bite in attack, maybe push forward. It's a risk because maybe you leave a hole open in the midfield defensively. But that might be the option right there, Pittsburgh, to maybe Okai comes off. Parks has moved into the middle, and he hasn't really been that effective. Maybe you have to push him out wide. So we'll see what adjustments there.
Given where they're at, where Dave Brand's team is at, they've got 4 games left after this. They're currently in 10th. A draw would keep them in outside of the playoff picture, do you get a little more risky? Do you go a little more offensive? In a second, we'll come to that. Wall fall now, finding some space, playing it out wide to Turgu. Turgu can't control. Stepped on the ball and left it for Gomez.
It's going to be fatigue on the part of Turgu right there.
Do you not throw caution to the wind, but do you play a little more aggressively in terms of your personnel and tactical decisions here down the stretch of this game?
Oh, absolutely, especially if you're at home. You definitely have to be more aggressive. You go for goal here. It's a three-man back line, so there should be some space to exploit for Pittsburgh and Rochester's defense. So I think that might be the move there. Be aggressive. You need the 3 points. You can't get another draw.
And here are some of their subs.
Pittsburgh
Kai
Riverhounds
Banjo, number 18, is going to come in.
Number 17, Kenroy Howe, in for number 7.
In for Siobhan Walsh. So Walsh's day is done.
18,
second leading scorer on the team.
Banjo, in for
Kai Banjo
9,
inserted. And then Kenroy Howe is coming in. 24-year-old rookie Jamaican is inserted for Okai. Well, we just talked about some subs. Kai Banjo, 2 goals on the year. Kenroy Howe, 0 goals in 11 games played. How do you feel about these changes right now? What can these guys bring?
I think it's a very good change. I think with obviously fresh legs for the last 20 minutes or so, 20-plus minutes, you're going to see, I think Banjo will maybe drop a little bit deeper, give Herzog more space, someone that he can play off of as well. And then Howell in the midfield, big body in the midfield, someone that can control the possession, hold the ball a little bit more. It'll be harder for Rochester to dispossess Howell compared to Okai. So that will be the case. It looks like Forbes is dropping back into the midfield behind Howell. So that'll give Howell freedom to push forward as well. So, and with Parks and his ability, his athleticism, he can be that defensive destroyer as well. So they don't lose too much integrity in terms of their defense. But with Howell going forward, big body, tall player as well, so he can get in the air and get on the end of headers and crosses as well.
Kai Banjo, 38th overall pick in the 2015 MLS Super Draft by the Vancouver Whitecaps. Never actually played for the Whitecaps. Joined this Pittsburgh team after a trial back in November. Has been here now for this season, looking to make an impact as Herzog's going to try to run this down. Lynn tries to clear it, but off of Farrell. Farrell finds Forbes in the middle. Pops it up, looking for Francois.
Almost looks like maybe a 4-2-3-1 situation for Pittsburgh with Parks and Soto behind Kerr on the right, Banjo and Howell on the left, or maybe Banjo and Howell flip-flopping, and then Herzog by himself, or maybe even 4-3-3 with Howell and Banjo helping Herzog up top. Kind of a fluid system, fluid formation for Dave Brandt's side.
Kenroy Howe getting his first touch. Working on the sidelines. Goes by 1 Rhino. Goes by 2. Still on the dribble is Howe. Layoff a little bit loose to Parks. Parks going to wind it up off of Turgu's chest. Takes a weird bounce off the turf, and it's going to be popped around here like a volleyball for a few seconds. Yeah. Still loose.
Yeah, Parks went for the shot, but he probably should have went out wide to Kerr, and I think even Shannon Gomez was making a run down the right side. So tough break there for Pittsburgh. Missed an opportunity to go out wide, maybe stretch the defense a little bit. And I think
poor pass by Camden.
Yeah, the two fresh legs. Maybe they want to press the ball a little bit more aggressively in the midfield.
Howe making a difference. Connects on the 1-2. He's in the box now. The substitute looking for now Kerr in a lot of space. Kerr, good touch to back to Kerr. Kerr gets the shot. It's a goal! What a 1-2! And the substitutes have come on to make a difference and set up Kerr to score the goal. 1-0. Riverhounds are up. His third of the campaign.
That is beautiful soccer by Pittsburgh, and it started with a poor pass by Rochester. Rochester giving the ball away deep in the midfield. And then it's Banjo, Howell, and Kerr combining for some fabulous soccer right here, some great football. Look at the touch by Kerr. Continues his run. Oh, this is fabulous. One times it past Daniel Lynn. This is the way people like to see soccer. This is the kind of soccer that is called attractive right there. Great work by Pittsburgh, and it all started with a turnover in their defensive half in the midfield, won by Howell, and then Howell, Banjo, and Kerr combining for a fabulous goal.
Talk about your substitutes making an immediate impact if you're Dave Brandt. Kai Banjo comes on, he gets the assist there. Kenroy Howell's one that picked up the loose ball and actually drove into the end and really got the move started. And think about the possession before. He took on 2 defenders, beat 2 defenders. Kenroy Howell did. So these guys making a change immediately into this game and giving the Riverhounds one of the biggest goals they've had all season.
Brilliant substitution, double substitution by Dave Brandt. You don't see that too often. You usually see one player and then maybe 5 minutes later another player, but double substitution, something that he saw in practice, that Banjo and Howell have, that connection, that cohesion that they have together, and it's worked out very well. And you have to give them credit. There were spaces in the midfield for them to exploit against Rochester, and they did that, and they did it perfectly.
So now I'll ask you if you're Rochester. You've got just about 18 minutes to go here, plus stoppage time. You first, high boot by Turgu.
It's got to be some kind of card.
Right in the Jack's head. Eric Dopka does issue the yellow immediately to Turgu, and rightfully so. But I'll ask you the same thing. Bob Lilly's getting ready to make some changes here. You really need to go for this game. You would like a result out of this. If it's your first game out of 3 on the road, as I told you earlier, he said he doesn't feel comfortable where they're at right now in 3rd place. So they're looking for results.
Rochester's number 10.
You go for this game?
Oh. I think if you're Rochester, you have to be satisfied with a draw on the road, considering your playoff position. If Rochester was 10th or 9th, then you have to play for the victory. But you were third. They came into the match 3rd in the East. A draw on the road would, I'm sure they would want to win it, but a draw on the road would not be too painful, would not hurt so much, and they'll probably still stay in the top 4.
Johan Graf almost forced a turnover, but you could see he had a fistful of yellow jersey, and Eric Dopka was all over with the call. Yeah,
I think if you're Rochester, you have to play at the very least for a draw. You'll be satisfied to get out of here with the draw, and so he's got to make, obviously, the right changes here to get his team that goal to get the equalizer.
Breast Cancer Awareness Night. The special night will celebrate breast cancer survivors and their families across western Pennsylvania. First 1,000 fans will receive a free Kick Breast Cancer Awareness t-shirt courtesy of AHN.
Jamal Jack able to play it up.
The Hounds will wear a special pink
the overhead kick, but it comes down to Rochester in the end.
Auctioned at the end of the match. Proceeds from the
Forbes with some space in the middle. Running defenders lays it out for Francois. He's got options in the box. He floats it to the back post. Nobody home, but Camden's going to get there. Camden then pops it up. Aimless cross. Ryan James got involved, able to keep it in the offensive third. Back to Francois, working one-on-one. Lines it hard. Great header there by Adewale to come over and clear it.
And Graf was asking for the ball on the ground. After the shot, he makes that gesture to keep the ball on the ground. He was kind of making that run in the far post. And tough break for Rochester, but still, Cristiano Francois. If there's a man of the match for Rochester, for the Rhinos, it's Cristiano Francois. He's been a beast on the right side.
Turgu, lofted ball, way back. The Rochester corners have left quite a bit to be desired, especially in the second half.
For sure, for sure. And it's puzzling because in the first half, we saw the corner that led to a fall and have that header off the post. So you figure just keep going to it. Keep going to that attack, going to that play until they stop it. And they only went to it once, and that was it. I don't understand the thinking behind every other corner after that. Fall looked like he wasn't being marked, and he could win the balls in the air with his size. So why not continue to do that? Give him a chance to actually score off a corner when he had a unmarked header off the post.
James making the overlapping run, was wide open on the right. Fall chose to go back to Francois in the middle. Back to Fall now. Lays it off for James. James pings it out to Camden. Camden looked for the early ball. He had option in the box, but not a great angle, and it was deflected out.
Yeah, Pittsburgh right now with this 1-0 advantage. They have to be disciplined defensively.
Francois going at Howell. Early ball played in. Groff's almost there, but there's Turgu! And he just lashed at it. And it goes wide.
Wow, that was very close. I don't think Turgu was expecting the ball to get to him. This is a great cross. It's a bending effort. A couple of Pittsburgh players sliding, including Adewale. And it looked like Howell as well sliding, just couldn't get a boot onto it. And I don't think Turgu was expecting it. Oh, that's a tough break for Rochester.
Couple substitutions now come on here. 27, Julian Boucher, one of the more creative players for this team and in this league right now. He's
Rochester substitution.
been loaned out from DC United. He was 11th pick back in 2016. German-born, talented player. 27, he'll be coming on.
7. Julian Boucher in for number 17, Wall Fall.
So Wall Fall, leading scorer, makes way for Boucher. And Ryan Bukimia comes in to replace Sofian Turgu. So Turgu's last effort is going to be that wide shot. He's not going to be happy about that at all. But we'll see if Bukimia can make a difference. We saw a double switch change things up for the Riverhounds and Paul and Dave Brandt. We'll see if it happens for Bob Lilly and the Rhinos now.
And Turgu on the left side didn't really do too much in this game. Surprised he didn't come out a little bit earlier, but Bob Lilly making the double switch here.
Bukimia asking for the ball was wide open. Then he had Boucher two in space, but the pass was poorly executed. There's Boucher on the ball now. He lays it off for Francois. Francois trying to get end line. Back to Boucher in space. He's going to line up across. And it'll go out for a corner.
And Bukimia was double marked there, well surrounded, if you will.
Set up for a critical corner here. Perella trying to organize his team. We've mentioned Rochester's service has been poor, but now Boucher's on the ball. He drives it in. It's a beautiful ball. Great play off the line.
Oh, that was close.
Believe that was Jack Thompson on the back post. Denies the header.
I believe you're right, Dallin, because Perella looks like he takes the wrong angle in terms of attacking the ball. Might have been grazed off the head. It looked like it maybe grazed off the head of Ryan Felix.
Facebook and Instagram for news.
Oh, that was so close. But that's why you need to have someone on the posts on the line.
I'll never understand why teams don't have that.
Yeah. That's a great question. I don't understand that either. Basic fundamentals.
I feel like Arsenal and Arsene Wenger are just really opposed to that. I think he's a big fan of just leaving back posts exposed. But anyway, I digress again. Boucher's on the ball.
How did you know I was an Arsenal fan? That pains me to say.
Boucher now looking for another cross. This time Perella comes out and corrals it.
I was feeling good until you mentioned Arsenal.
Yes. Especially Chelsea tomorrow. Hey, take a look at this again.
Yeah, it's a grazing header.
Thompson.
Yep, Thompson.
Great job. Talked about the fullbacks. He was one of the ones that got inserted. Two new fullbacks in the game himself and Shannon Gomez. Maybe the play of the game there for the Riverhounds to keep this thing at 1-0. But the Rhinos are not going to stop. They are pressing forward here.
Well, you see, we were talking about it in the first half when they sent the ball in swinger.
Francois again gets a header. Bukimia got there but couldn't put anything on it.
In the first half, we saw an in-swinger into the heart of the penalty area, and Fall was able to elevate, get a header onto it, and went off the post. Since then,
early ball played in. Perella gets his hands to it. Soto able to find the feet of Howell, who smartly, Banjo, who smartly holds it up and draws a foul. And he should just stay down for maybe 30 seconds or so. He'll milk it.
For sure. But
maybe not.
Yeah.
Play it quick.
Play it quick. But we saw Fall service corner off the post with his head, and then the subsequent corners, short corners, nothing yielding. Then they finally get an in-swinger into the area, and what happens? They get a chance that's cleared off the line. That's the way they need to do corners from now on.
Francois skipping through the defense, but great defense again by Adewale there Jack there to intercept.
Here's the winning numbers from tonight's warm-up jersey auction.
Felix looking for the feet of Groff, gets there.
By the DK Sports Pittsburgh sign starting now. Jerseys will
Bukimia,
be
one of the subs.
After the game.
It's passed to Groff, intercepted, and here comes Kai Banjo. A lot of contact, no call.
Yeah, Bradley Camden, the number 4 for Rochester, has done some hard work defensively. With Felix now pushing up, they're trying to get numbers, so Felix is pushing up. Camden has had to cover for him at that left center back position, if you will.
Francois doing work again on that wing and creating another corner opportunity, and Boucher, the German, strides over to take it.
You see, nothing is coming from the left side of Rochester's defense. And when you get everything going down the right side, it makes it a little bit easier for Pittsburgh to defend.
And we've got another substitution coming in here. Danny Earls is going to come in for Shannon Gomez now. Gomez put a good shift in the 20-year-old on the right back spot, but here comes Earls
Danny
now.
Earls in for number 38, Shannon
That's
Gomez.
the third and final sub for Dave Brandt's crew.
Yeah, I think with Earls, he's a bigger, taller player. And with the danger that Rochester has shown on set pieces by getting the ball in the air off of crosses, maybe Earls is there just to be that aerial defender.
Boucher with the outswinger. Ball's loose in the area. Still loose. Bukimia gets a foot to it, but right to Barella. Quick reflexes to dive on it.
Barella, right place, right time. And now Pittsburgh, they have to just basically defend desperately here because Rochester, they're going to throw numbers and attack here at pretty much all costs to pick up these, at least to get a draw, pick up this equalizer.
Earl's first touch was not a good one. Turns it over. Little 1-2 with Camden and Forbes, and pass just a little too much heat on it from Forbes. Bob Lilly still has one sub left to make if he so chooses to. And while we have a minute here, soccer fans, Nike's an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com.
And Bukimia has come on and he is just free roaming.
Groff lays it off to Bukimia. To Forbes. He'll skip it over to Joe Farrell. Farrell lofts it in, looking for Groff's head. It'll go over him, and Thompson ushers it out of bounds, but it did not go out for a goal kick. Good work by Groff to make it a throw.
At the DK Sports table as well. The winning auction numbers will also be
Bukimia
located at the
have kind of
DK
just a
Sports
freelance
table as well.
role there, playing a little bit higher in the midfield, allowing Forbes to drop back a little bit deeper. Forbes kind of that deep-lying playmaker. Bukimia having just that freedom to roam and create opportunities wherever the space may come. But throughout this match, we haven't seen anything down the left side of Rochester's attack. It's been all the right side with Cristiano Francois. And if you can defend one half of the field, that makes it a lot easier for Pittsburgh in this situation. So, and they might want to keep it that way and just get numbers back to try to neutralize Francois, what he's been doing so far.
It was incorrect. The ball was out, said the linesman, so it was a goal kick. Allowing, at least for a minute, Riverhounds to get out of their end, but back come Rochester again. Boucher tries a little scoop pass. Doesn't come off.
Yeah, they're going to try and make sure here with Jamal Jack and then Thompson. I think that for them, those two specifically, they're going to have to get on top of Francois a little bit more intensely, more aggressively, it's going to be hard to deny him the ball. But if whenever he gets the ball, get on top of him quickly, press him, not allow him to create opportunities, create crosses, that might be the best way to kill off this match for Pittsburgh.
James able to settle it for a second. He's looking long. You see going a little bit of route one. That's Joe Farrell, center back, now playing up in a forward position.
Yeah, if they're going route one, that might be a sign of desperation for Rochester.
James thought about just blasting it in, but played it up the sideline to Francois. Campbell lobs it in. Peralta like a punt returner just gets underneath it. Antonio Brown and hauls it in.
There you go.
Easily.
And then Jamal Jack ran to the goal line as well, just in case.
Kai Banjo, not sure what he was doing there, but it did not come off.
Yeah, and he didn't have anyone in the air with him as well. He could have just stayed on his feet, settled it with his chest, and then gone forward. He might still be pumped from the goal and how that goal developed, and his role in that goal.
Well, he should be excited if they can hold on here. In the 88th minute, they got a chance to get a huge win against, the Riverhounds in 10th right now coming into this game in the Eastern Conference. A win would put them in 7th place, which puts them in playoff position. They have not made the playoffs since 2015. This would be a huge win in a game where, is it fair to say Rochester are the better of the run of play throughout the course of the game?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, Rochester have had the better run of play for sure, more possession. But the goals you don't score get scored on you, and that's exactly what happened there. But their midfield left a lot of holes. They weren't that strong defensively through the midfield for Rochester, and Pittsburgh had that one opportunity and exploited it very well.
There's Kenroy Howell. He's been a difference maker since he's come on. Skips past Campbell.
Herzog is unmarked, wide open.
Finds Banjo. Banjo over to Parks, and Parks just rolled right off his foot. That could have been a chance to put this thing away, but not capitalized on, and starting to open up here the last few minutes.
And we just mentioned the run of play and how Rochester have had the more possession, but a lot of gaps in the midfield, huge spaces in the midfield. Now that they're pushing up and trying to get that equalizer, they're leaving themselves wide open and very, very, very vulnerable. And it's unfortunate for Pittsburgh there. If Parks gets a better touch, he could even played it out wide to Herzog, and then, it's over.
Bob Lilly up and active on the touchline, urging his guys forward. Johan Graf tried to come onto that, couldn't quite get there. Boucher's able to keep it, though, in the offensive third. Nice back heel to Bukimia, and Bukimia's ball didn't come off the way he'd want it.
I think Graf is kind of waiting for the service, and maybe Bukimia and Boucher are just kind of wanting him to move into space instead of him staying stationary and waiting for the ball to come to him. They better work it out in the next few seconds, or else it'll be a 1-0 loss for Rochester.
Francois trying to get end line. Again, gets another cross in, a header in the back of the net. What a finish by Joe Farrell. The defender came forward.
Unbelievable. And it's Francois with the assist. Unbelievable. Francois blazing past Howell. 2 players. And it is Howell that finishes. And how a defender is unmarked in the arrow, in the area, is beyond me. Joe Farrell with a huge goal and some shoddy defending by Pittsburgh. That's unbelievable. Francois getting around 2 players. And that's a shock. We've been saying it all game. It's been Francois down that right side has been looking like a beast, and he was able to get around 2 players and provide that service. And how Farrell is unmarked in the area is beyond me.
And we mentioned Farrell coming back. The center back has been effective. He was third in the team in goals with 5 goals last year. All USL second team. He has skills. You saw it come down off his chest and almost score in the first half. Here, good clinical header. Huge goal for Rochester. A bit of a dagger for the Riverhounds now, who have a minimum now of 2 more minutes in this game to maybe get one back. Kerr now trying to get the cross in. But again, Francois, 4 assists now. That is now second on their team. Tied for first on the team now with 4 assists. He's only played this is 7th game. Floated in by Soto. Lynn comes out and gets it. There were 2 defenders over there. Dave Brand's going to watch that and be very frustrated. They could not corral Francois and still allowed the service in that instance.
Absolutely. And the fact that they actually had numbers back, which means that they should be tightly marking whoever's in the area. If you have a numerical advantage in defense, then someone has to be on the hip, on the shoulder of whoever's in the area. It didn't happen, and Farrell carved out a little bit of space for himself. That's unacceptable defending for Pittsburgh, and I'm sure Dave Brandt is not happy about it.
Francois looking for more. Could they sneak out here with 3 points? James is going to have a chance to cross it. He lines up his left foot. He gets Groff. Groff gets head to it, but Perella is there. And Groff is hurt. Holding his right boot.
But see, once again, that Jamal Jack coming off of Groff late. He's got to follow Groff everywhere, no matter where he goes. He can't let him get a little bit of space. Can't let any of the Rochester players in the area get a little bit of space. And they had a numerical advantage. There were 2 Rochester attackers in the area. There were about 6 Pittsburgh defenders. There's no way that shot should have even reached Perella. That's a tough break. That's a heartbreaking equalizer for Pittsburgh, and it could be the 2 points they drop here could keep them out of the playoffs.
You're absolutely right. That we cannot understate how critical this game is, particularly for the Riverhounds. Only 4 games left, the next 2 on the road. This would have been a massive 3 points. Kerr trying to create another opportunity, and he, as he made his move past Camden, was held back. So they'll maintain the ball now. We're past the 3 minutes mandatory of stoppage time. There was a goal scored. We'll see how much time Eric Dopka adds. If the Riverhounds can get one more attempt, no, they can't. That is it. And an big equalizer, as you mentioned, for the Rhinos in stoppage time. Joe Farrell, the defender, comes up, heads it home for his 2nd goal of the campaign. 1-1 is your final between the Riverhounds and the Rhinos. Quickly, George, your thoughts on this match?
It deserved to be a 1-1 scoreline. Neither team was dominant, and Pittsburgh, it's a heartbreaking draw. Could keep them out of the playoffs.
For Rochester, they go on their road the next 2 games. This might feel like a win for them and build some momentum. For the Riverhounds, they go on the road their next 2. This might feel like a loss and affect them going forward. Big result. We'll wrap it all up for you, put a bow on it after the break. 1-1 here from Pittsburgh.
With hundreds and hundreds of pre-owned vehicles for every budget, Number 1 Cochran is the one and only place you need to shop.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Can you hear me? Yeah. How many times have you done it before? You good? Yeah. Okay. You got 50 seconds. Yep, just stay here for a little bit. Hold for that. Yeah.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a sports medicine specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
Stay low, stay low. Change of speed, explode, explode. Trust it. Very nice, very nice.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with an orthopedic specialist at Allegheny Health Network.
You could spend lots of time searching lots of used car websites. Or just visit Cochran.com to see lots and lots of vehicles.
More used cars, more ways to buy them. Shop Cochran.com now.
Back here in Pittsburgh, what ends up being a 1-1 draw between the Riverhounds and the visiting Rhinos. The home team went up late but could not hold on with just minutes to go. Second-year defender Joe Farrell equalized for the Rhinos. And it's going to be heartbreaking for the Riverhounds, who came into this game 10th. If they would have won this thing, they would have gone up to 7th, and they were just minutes away from doing it. Couldn't quite get it done. Let's get you the highlights. And Joe Farrell might want this one back from the first half, but he did make amends in the second. But this is how it started early on in this game. The Rhinos making the most of their getting the most opportunities.
Yeah, this is a well done by Forbes to get the ball out wide to Farrell, who did well enough to hustle back and get on sides. And then he shows his skill, chests it down, and then with the left foot, just can't finish it. But still, great bit of skill there by Joe Farrell.
And now in terms of the Riverhounds, Siobhan Walsh did not have many opportunities. This one, he just carved it out of nothing, created on his own.
Yep, that's what they needed. Pittsburgh needed something like that, and Walsh was able to do so. Very frustrating match, I'm sure, for him. But he had the space, quick feet for a man his size. He showed some great quickness and great dribbling ability here, getting it onto his left foot. But you figured that for Pittsburgh, it was going to take maybe a play of individual brilliance. Well, no, it was a team goal here between Howell, Banjo, and then Kerr. You see Kerr asking for it there. Howell is unmarked, loose marking there, and then boom, a great finish there by Kevin Kerr. And you figured at this point, Pittsburgh, they were going to lock it down, play conservative, and get the 3 points, but it just didn't quite work out the way. But you have to appreciate the skill and the movement and the passing of this goal by Pittsburgh.
And great one-touch finish by the captain, Kerr, and at that moment looked like they might get a critical 3 points. They went in a little bit of the defensive shell. Bob Lilly's team pushed people up the field for the Rhinos, and they started to try to create chances, and that they did.
Yeah, they basically shut down Pittsburgh's attack for the last, 10, 15 minutes of that second half. And it is Cristiano Francois pushing it forward here. Look at this chance here. Far post by Turgu. Maybe they wasn't expecting the ball to get to him, but Francois was unstoppable down the right side. I thought Jack Thompson did a decent enough job, but in the end it wasn't enough. Turgu would come off as a second half substitute, and the substitute, Bukimia, had a couple of chances, had some influence, some touches, but couldn't quite get it done. And then there's the header there. Francois beating 2 defenders, and then Farrell in the area, 2 defenders around him, and he's got a clean header. That shouldn't happen.
Clinical finish for a center back, no doubt. Joe Farrell is a great scorer for a center back, the LaSalle product, but Francois even getting that service, and to your point, really never should have happened. Dave Brandt's going to look back at that one and be frustrated, but on the balance of play and the stats, this deserved to be a 1-1 game in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the stats, more possession, more shots on target, and that equals for the road team. That's encouraging. That's
Should the Riverhounds be happy with a point given this? Let's ask that question that way.
No, they dropped 2 points.
Okay.
They dropped 2 points. At home, in a playoff push, you have to win your home games. And they had the 1-goal advantage, and they let it slip away. So they dropped 2 points, and that could be the difference between a playoff spot. We mentioned it during the game, Dallin. Could be the difference between a playoff spot or watching the playoffs at home on TV.
Kevin Kerr not happy about that. In the next Rochester game, it's going to be a tough one. They are on the road at Lou City. Midweek game, and that is going to be a critical game for them. Lou City also will have a chance to punch their ticket to the playoffs potentially on that Wednesday encounter. And for the Riverhounds, this is a classic 6-pointer. Bethlehem Steel right around them in the playoffs. Bethlehem Steel has 2 games in hand. This is about as must win as it gets for the Riverhounds.
And if Bethlehem win that game, it could be Pittsburgh out of the playoffs. And that's a huge game. You mentioned the interstate rivalry, Pennsylvania Derby, if you want to call it that. That's a huge game.
Big-time interstate rivalry coming up next for the Riverhounds. In the end, though, they walk out with 1 point from Highmark Stadium. Riverhounds and the Rhinos 1-1 from Pittsburgh. For George DeMattelis, I am Dallin Cuff. We'll see you next time.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.